Good morning. Welcome to the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors meeting for March 13th, 2018. Madam Clerk.
Item 1 on the closed session agenda, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, County of Calaveras v. Pacific Gas and Electric Company et al., San Francisco County Superior Court case number CGC 18564465.
Is there any is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Item 2, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, Government Code Section 54957B1, title Public Works Director.
Any public comments? Seeing none.
Item 3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, one case pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2.
Public comments? Seeing none, we'll go to closed session. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting, Calaveras Board of Supervisors meeting for March 13th. Can we all rise for the pledge? Madam Clerk, can you please lead us?
Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, you want to read out for closed session?
Report of closed session. Item 1, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, County of Calaveras v. Pacific Gas and Electric Company et al., San Francisco County Superior Court case number CGC 18564465. There was no action taken. Item 2, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, Government Code Section 54957B1, title Public Works Director. This item will be continued during the lunchtime hour. Item 3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, one case pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2. This item will also be continued during the lunchtime hour.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, announcements. Madam Clerk.
Announcements. This is a time for board members and county staff to provide updates of upcoming county events that may be of interest to the public.
Any board member have an announcement?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Supervisor Mills. I'd like to make an announcement that on the 17th of March, on St. Patrick's Day in Murphy's, we'll have the St. Patrick's Day festivities with the Irish Day Parade, if it doesn't snow on us. But we're still going to have it no matter what. Just make that announcement. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Welcome. Any other board member?
Well, I'm going to be on the float for the Calaveras Animal Disaster Assistance. So rain or shine, I'm going to be there.
All right. Any member of staff have any announcements?
Morning, Nancy Giddens, County Librarian. I would like to bring you up to date on the Scenic Broadband Project. Finally, in February, AT&T made their site visits to all the 5 sites where we will be installing a gigabyte of bandwidth. The 4 branches, Arnold, Murphy's, Angels Camp, Valley Springs, and then, of course, the Central Library. We met an unexpected hiccup in that there is some preparatory work that we were not We thought Scenic was covering that, but the Friends of the Library have stepped up, and it's all taken care of. So I love this project because it's such a partnership. The State Library giving us $90,000 for the hardware that we'll need, the county helping us with the provider costs, and now the community stepping up to take care of the readiness work. So I love it. It's actually moving forward. We have contracts out for the preparatory work, and then IT is standing by. I simply can't say enough about our IT department. They have been amazing. Spent, I don't know, I mean, I'm going to say at least 100 hours on this project already, and they're going to spend a lot more. And this is going to bring very high-speed internet capabilities to our outlying areas with fiber. Fiber optics will be used in this project, so it's going to be fast, which gives the library an opportunity to put lots of things on all of our public computer desktops to give patrons access to forms, information that they need to live happy and contented lives here in Calaveras County. Second thing I'd like to share with you is that on April 14th, at the end of National Library Week, we're going to be having a big celebration in the library. The library will be open from 10 to 4 on that day with an open house. We'll be demonstrating all of our new toys and whistles. We'll have our 3D printer operating, our visual reality system operating so you can have some fun that day, and activities for children and adults. At 4 o'clock, we'll have a lovely dedication ceremony to honor 2 women in our county who have done so much to help the library. So you're all invited, public, please come. It's going to be a great day of celebration for our library. Thank you.
Any other staff member announcements? Seeing none, we'll move on. Madam Clerk. Recognitions. and
Recognition and acknowledgements. Item 4 is from the Board of Supervisors to adopt a proclamation recognizing March 2018 as American Red Cross Month in Calaveras County.
Supervisor Garamendi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I apologize in advance. I have a cold, so if I go into a coughing fit, I will hand this document to the supervisor most willing to help a buddy out.
If you need help, I'll help.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
I know Dennis.
Very good. Whereas the American Red Cross has touched many lives in Calaveras County, as well as across the country and around the world. And whereas the American Red Cross Month, during the American Red Cross Month, we thank those who contribute to the mission of the Red Cross, whether through time, money, or blood, and we invite others to support the Red Cross in helping people in need down the street, across the country, and around the world. And whereas the American Red Cross is synonymous with helping people and has been doing so for more than 130 years. Throughout the past year, the American Red Cross launched hundreds of disaster relief operations in the United States to help people affected by fires, floods, hurricanes, and tornadoes. The Gold Country region, which includes Calaveras County and the Mother Lode area, responded to disasters here in California, Texas, Georgia, Puerto Rico, and elsewhere. The 24 counties that make up the Gold Country region provides hundreds of residents with information and assistance, as well as our continuing effort as part of the ongoing recovery efforts in the aftermath of the Butte fire disaster. And whereas in Calaveras County, the Red Cross worked tirelessly in 2017 through its single employee and 12 volunteers to support our residents when disaster strikes with emergency assistance. In 2017, Calaveras volunteers of the American Red Cross gave food, clothing, and shelter to 116 adults and 30 children throughout Calaveras County because their families' homes were devastated by fires. This made it possible for the families to have a safe place to stay and the basic necessities of life as they began the slow recovery process. The Red Cross also provides 24-hour support to all members of the military, veterans and their families, and provides training in CPR, aquatic safety, sheltering, and first aid. Whereas for nearly 100 years, the United States presidents have called on the American people to support the Red Cross and its humanitarian mission. Our communities depend on the American Red Cross, and because it is not a government agency, the Red Cross depends solely on support from the public to continue its humanitarian work. This is especially important in these challenging economic times, which impact the Red Cross and many people in our communities and across the nation.
Is
Mr. Chairman?
there any board comments? Supervisor Mills?
Having been a recipient of Red Cross on many fires, because when the fires are out there, you're not just helping the average citizen, you're helping the firefighters too, and firefighter support. So just want to say I personally have received that and appreciate what the Red Cross has done in those fires.
Nope.
I personally have worked with Dennis during the Butte Fire. He knows down at the Veterans Hall down there was a shelter that we operated for about 3 weeks to a month, I guess it was, huh, Dennis? Yes, sir. Yeah. So very well-run organization. Very proud to have you operating here in our county, Dennis, you the lead. So I'll open it up to public comments at this time. Any public comments?
Good morning, George Fry. When I was growing up on the island of Guam, which I spent 10 years out there, the Red Cross was just tremendous. They taught me how to swim. They taught me how to be a lifeguard. They taught me how to be a water safety instructor trainer, and water safety instructor for handicapped people. I can't say enough good things about the Red Cross. In 1962, Typhoon Karen came through Guam, and the miles per hour winds were 201 miles per hour. It flattened everything on the island, and the Red Cross was there. They always seemed to be there. And I just want to give a shout out to the Red Cross.
Any other public comments?
Good morning, Mike Johnson, Evans Pass Fire District. Just wanted to confirm, what those great things that Red Cross does for us on fires, and we request them right through our dispatch center to come to the scene sometimes to help displaced families when structure fires occur, and they're a great organization, and we are lucky to be partnered with them here in Calaveras County. Thank you.
Any other public comments? If not, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
So moved, Chair.
Motion by Supervisor Mills, second
Second.
Second by Supervisor Garamendi. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Now, therefore be it proclaimed, the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors proclaims March 2018 as American Red Cross Month in Calaveras County. We encourage all Americans to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. Thank you very much, and you'll please come on up.
Come on up. Come right away.
go. Okay. One more. Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Sir?
All right, moving on. Madam Clerk.
Public comment. Any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and is not posted on the consent or regular agendas may be addressed during the public comment period. California law prohibits the board from taking action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Board of Supervisors. If public comment is completed before the 30-minute allotted time period, the board may immediately move to the next order of business. If public comment is not completed during the allotted time period, it will be continued as the last item of business in order to provide an opportunity for the remainder of comments to be heard.
All right, public comments.
Hi, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Board of Supervisors. I have recently joined the union SEIU 2015. I feel that we need people in support of coming back to the county and negotiating contracts for in-home support services. We are throwing, I don't want to use the word throwing, we are having a meeting March 29th at the Mark Twain Hospital, room 2, at 1 o'clock. SEIU will be putting it on. The point of the meeting is to hear the concerns and the needs of our providers and consumers. The meeting's open to the public. I'd like to invite Colleen and Teresa from the Public Authority to be there, and anybody here sitting on the board. At this time, we will be doing a lot of outreach and seeing what our consumers need. This past week, I have been making phone calls to a lot of our providers, and their biggest fear is repercussion. Their biggest fear of coming down here and telling you guys what's going on in the home is losing hours and a backlash. I let them know that I am here, and I've been here, and you guys have been open to hearing what I've been going through, and people here have helped me. So I've reassured them that that has not been my experience, and I've opened up the door to invite them to not only show up to the In-Home Support Services Advisory Committee, but to come here to tell you guys their story and their needs, and also the union. I belong to SEIU 1021 over in Contra Costa, and I also was with UDW in Stanislaus. When I came up here, I didn't see any union. And I'm hoping to make Calaveras County an in-home support workers and providers a priority, not only in this county, but within the union. Again, the meeting through SEIU 2015 is March 29th. It starts at 1. It's at Mark Twain Hospital in room 2. Thank you guys, and have a good day.
Any other public comments?
George Fry. I have two things. One, please check with Board Clerk Diane to find out if your district needs people to step up for the Commission on Aging. And number two, the previous speaker, Danielle, has joined the Commission on Aging, in-home supportive services, and she is a firecracker. and we are so pleased to have her on our committee. And it's time, I believe, for all of us to tune in. I call it my listening with my third ear to the needs of in-home supportive services providers and recipients. So please check and see if you have any vacancies on your district. Thank you.
Hi, Alice Montgomery, District 3, and I'm just here, this is an easy one for you so you can relax. I'm here to tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity to express my gratitude to the Board of Supervisors today. So when you think that we're not watching, we're watching. I want to thank Gary Tofinelli for the mass amount of community work he does that's unsung, the business acumen he brings to the job, and he just doesn't talk about it. So we thank you. I want to thank you for doing what you said you would do during your campaign. Jack, I want to thank you for your commitment to your district. Maybe I don't always agree with everything you do, but it doesn't matter. You do what you say you're going to do, and that's really important, and you have a lot of integrity. Mike, we're just your entire fan club. District 3 loves Mike Calaveras. So that's just the way it is, and we want him back. He will never be found saying something detrimental about someone else, and we're very grateful. He just quietly gets it done. Dennis, we thank you. We know that you used to be 7'4" and play for the Celtics until you walked every single door of your entire district and wore yourself down to where you are today. So this is a man that went to see everybody. We're very appreciative. I have a relative that you may have heard of that writes pretty well, Samuel Clemens, and he said that whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting. And we thank you for fighting for our water rights. Clyde Clapp, we thank you for your integrity. You did what you said you would do. People don't always agree with you, but you did what you said you would do. And all of you volunteer in the community and do so much for us. And not very many times do we get a chance to say thank you. Each and every one of you have brought a strength to this board I haven't seen in years. And you're all different, and that's what makes it so very cool. So I just want to say thank you. That's it.
Any other any other public comments? No? Okay, that's it. Moving on. Madam Clerk, consent agenda.
Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request removal of an item from the consent agenda for later discussion.
Any board member wish to pull any item off the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to pull item 11, item 14, and item 16.
Any other item, board members? Any staff member wish to pull an item? No? Okay, any public member? 15? Any other? If not, bring it back to the board for a motion for the remaining items.
Mr. Chair, I'll remove the remainder.
A motion by Supervisor Mills,
I'll second that.
second by Supervisor Clapp. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Supervisor Olivera, you have item number 11.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Madam
Miss-
Clerk, can you read it?
Thank you. Item 11 is from Public Works to adopt a resolution amending the number of positions on the County Service Area 2, Bar 20's Road Advisory Committee from 5 to 3.
Supervisor Olivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A quick question on this. I know that we were concerned, and the reason that it was brought as agendized item, that we're reducing this from 5 to 3 members. Do we have any indication that we do have any candidates for those 3 positions? Maybe Supervisor Mills, do you have an update on that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we've got 3 candidates for that.
We'll be good.
Mr. Chair, that's all I had on that item.
Any public comments?
House of Gallant Taxpayer Association. I thought that it was the Diamond 20, which is next to Copperopolis, where they were having problems getting quorum. I didn't know anything about the Bar 20. Do we have the wrong subdivision?
Any other public comments? If not, bring it back to the board. And this is the right, Supervisor Mills, this is your,
This is correct. Both CSA 2 and CSA 4 are being reduced to 3 members.
okay. All right. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Supervisor
I
Mills,
second that.
second by Supervisor Clapp. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 14, Madam Clerk.
Item 14 is from Public Works. To 1, make findings that paratransit service in response to request for proposals number 17-1021-01-958 for the operation of Calaveras Transit has been determined to be responsive, responsible, and qualified to perform the services outlined in the RFP. 2, award RFP 17-1021-01-958 for the management and operation of Calaveras Transit to the sole qualified respondent, paratransit services. And 3, authorize the Board of Supervisors Chair to execute a professional services agreement with Paratransit Services for the term of April 2nd, 2018 through March 31st, 2019, with an option to extend for an additional 2 years.
Supervisor Olivera, you pulled this?
I did, Mr. Chair. Is there a representative here from COG? Seeing none, Mr. Lutz, maybe you can answer this question. With the completion of our transit going to the control of COG, exactly what is the cost to Calaveras County should this system fail? I don't know if we ever got that question answered in our last meeting. I mean, if it does go into a financial crisis, what is the responsibility of the county?
Well, first I want to make sure I'm understanding the question, since it's kind of outside of the scope of the paratransit agreement. Do you mean the transit system overall?
Transit with that and the contract with paratransit system. That's nearly $1 million, right?
I'm looking to council in terms of it's outside of the scope of the agenda. I can certainly answer it. His question is, so the item here is to bring a contract for paratransit to provide the operations of the actual buses driving around.
Are we on 11 or 14?
14.
We're on 14. Okay, so, I mean, Supervisor Oliveira, is there a connection between the cost to the county of moving it to COG? Does that somehow have a bearing on the paratransit item?
My concern is, if we are unable to meet the contractual agreement for compensation with paratransit per this agreement, what is the financial responsibility to the county if COG does take complete management control of the transit system?
Okay, I from that context, the agreement was always laid out and set up, and I'm sorry, I don't know if that feedback is me today or something. It was always set up so that at the end of June, this contract transitions now to the JPA established through COG. So in terms of the financial risk or liability to the county, it would be the 3 months from the April to June, and that will be dependent on the reimbursement that we get from COG, which is really the reimbursement from FTA, STA funds that would, be related to the submission of our cost reimbursement.
So at the end of June of 2018,
This year, yes.
all right, the county would not have any financial responsibility should the contract default.
The way this was developed and written, it was to allow the contract to then go to the new JPA, so that they would have time to get operations stabilized before deciding on doing another RFP.
Okay, once again, after the contract, JPA is established and complete control and operation is turned over to COG, is there any financial responsibility to Calaveras County for any deficit on this contract?
No.
That's the answer I needed. Thank you.
That it?
That's all I had, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Open it up to public. Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board, looking for a motion.
I'll move the item.
We have a motion by Supervisor Mills. We have a second.
I'll second it.
I have a second by Supervisor Clapp. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Moving on to item number 15. Madam Clerk.
Item 15 is from Human Resources to adopt an ordinance approving changes consistent with the modified contract with the Service Employees International Union Local 1021 for elected officials.
Al Segalia, you pulled this item. You have a question on it.
Could the nature of this be elaborated a little bit? What exactly is the changes for compensation for elected officials? Thank you.
Public comments?
Hi, Danielle Maxwell. A correction, we are SCIU 2015, not 1021. And the representatives, what the clarification, the contracts with negotiation would be higher wages, better insurance.
Excuse me, 1 second.
Yeah.
This has to do with the control list for elected officials, not IHSS.
Well, we represent in-home support services, SCIU, and it's 2015, not 1021. Our local group is 2015.
Okay. I can clarify this. Okay.
Judy Hawkins, Human Resources Director, Human Resources and Risk Director. The changes for the elected officials, we did bring before the board for the first reading on February 20th, and this we're bringing forward for adoption. To clarify, first, Al's questions, which are what the changes are, and we are following what the unrepresented groups received, which was the same as the contract that was negotiated with SEIU Local 1021, which is different than Local
215.
Right. And so the benefits that they are receiving is the 2% COLA, which is effective June 23rd, 2018, an additional 2% COLA, which is effective January 5th, 2019, and then receiving the benefit of 100% of employee-only dental and employee-only vision, which is effective July 7th of 2018. The cost of this annually will be $43,169 for salaries and $3,048 for the benefit changes. These increases do not affect the 17-18 budget, since they go into effect after the 18-19 budget is in effect.
Does that answer your question, Al?
Yeah, I thought there was discussion about changing that. Apparently it wasn't changed. Is that correct?
We did not discuss any changes. We have discussed changes to the Board of Supervisor salaries. This only affects the assessor, auditor controller, clerk recorder, coroner, district attorney, sheriff, and treasurer tax collector. It does not affect any of the current board members.
That's correct. So it's elected officials, not SEIU 2015 that it affects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other elected officials.
Okay. All right. Any other public comments?
Thank you.
George Fry again. I'm kind of disappointed that somebody from COG didn't come here this morning. Do they get the agenda?
This has nothing to do with COG, George.
I'm sorry.
We've already gone through that item.
Oh, I fell asleep at the wheel.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. Looking for a motion.
I'll move it.
We have a motion by Supervisor Clapp. Second.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Mills. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1. Moving on to item number 16. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I might, I need to recuse myself from this item. I serve on the board of the chamber.
Okay.
Item 16 is from the Administrative Office to make a public benefit finding and approve below-market lease of Hubbardie Building to the Calaveras Chamber of Commerce for a term of 5 years and 2 months, beginning May 1st, 2018, and ending June 30th, 2023.
Yes, this is coming to the board as a renewal agreement. We do have both the executive director for the chamber and also the chamber president here to also answer questions. But in summary, we had originally entered into this agreement in 2016 with the chamber to lease out the Hubbardie building with the intent of building out their business resource center for Calaveras County. The model thus far has been extremely successful. They were able to form a lot of partnerships with some of the local nonprofit organizations and also bring on support from some of the state entities for economic development. We see this as a continued nexus, particularly with our developing of our economic development program within the county and continuing to partner closely with the chamber on those efforts, ways to leverage resources, identify something that the county might be able to work on versus what the chamber's working on, and collaborate. Because we're asking for the lease to be $1 per year, the board would have to make a public benefit finding. And I would note that the chamber has, during the first 2 years of this lease, done a number of improvements to that building to make it ADA accessible, to be able to provide the services. They've certainly invested into the building and I think have been good partners. Changes from the original term include the chamber being responsible for more of the daily maintenance of the building, which again, the chamber has been okay with that arrangement. The county, since this is a county-owned building, would continue to be responsible for major things such as roofing, HVAC, other major structural areas that might come up through the course of this lease. This was because of the public benefit finding, and particularly because this is a county-owned facility that we're leasing for below market. We did not do an RFP on it, but we did notice this in the paper so that everyone was aware that that we were bringing this to the board.
Mr. Olvera, you pulled this?
I did, Mr. Chair. Is there a representative from the chamber here? I'll make this short.
Good morning, Stacy Johnston, CEO of the Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Ms. Johnson. How are you?
Good morning, I'm great, thank you.
One quick question for you. I understand that the $250,000 grant for community development system is being used wisely with your crew?
Extremely wisely.
And is that grant due to expire pretty quick?
It expires October of 2018 this year.
And is there any plans to try to renew that grant?
This was a grant that came about due to the Butte Fire, basically a disaster recovery grant through the EDA, the Economic Development Administration, and so it was a one-time opportunity.
At the expiration of that grant, do you see any problems continuing as you are doing very well, which I'm very supportive of, I know funding is always a problem, but the future looks good.
The Chamber has been very diligent with our membership funds, with our fundraising funds, with the EDA grant funds. That's our number one priority, and we are right on target. We see no issues at all carrying out the task and sustaining the Business Resource Center.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, my reason I pulled that was number one, to establish that the grant should be expiring, because I am familiar with the terms of that. But more importantly, the 5-year period. I would like to see, if possible, maybe a review by the Board of Supervisors at the end of the year number 3, and leave the other 2 years as an option in case something does happen, just as a check to make sure we're doing okay. Other than that, a 5-year period is fine with me, as long as we have a checkpoint in there.
Can I add one piece to this? Because this is unique in terms of it being a county-owned building that we're leasing out.
My concern.
We can't put renewal terms. A lot of leases, as you know, have a month-to-month clause or a renewal term. There are specific prohibitions with a county-owned building for us to be able to do that. So we couldn't do a 3-year with an option to renew at that point.
You could still, you could do a new lease at the end again. It just can't have a renewal term in the existing lease.
I would be comfortable with that. 3 years from now is a long ways away. Things could happen. But if we could change this to a 3-year lease, and then at that time, if there's no problems, we could renew it without any problems other than the board approval, I feel comfortable with that.
How's the other board members feel?
I believe in that contract and stuff. There was an out clause for the county and for them. If something happened, either party can, with, I believe it was 30-day notice, can vacate the agreement. So I think they're protected. If something happens or if the building burns down, it's done away with at that point. So I would like to keep it at 5 years so we don't have to come back in 3 years.
Supervisor Mills.
I also, the out clause is already there. So the 5-year, they've already proven their capacity and their ability, and placing such a key piece of the economics of this county right on Main Street, right in front of everyone that drives through our community. I think it's so valuable that by itself has dollars that we just can't put on it. So I would also agree with the 5-year term. If there's some reason that either the county or the chamber would change courses, we have the option. We can make those moves at that time.
Mr. Chair, if the contract reads that way, I would make a motion that we approve this for a 5-year period.
I would second that.
Yeah, I got a couple comments, then I'll open up for public comments. I'm well aware of this building, and the chamber's improvements to this building has been tremendous. The condition of the building itself, when it was turned over 2 years ago to them, it did house part of our sheriff's operations there, but a lot of the rooms and a lot of places weren't being used because of the way it was. They poured a tremendous amount of money into it and upgraded that building. And to not give them a 5-year lease for those improvements is not, in my opinion, something that would be proper. They poured a lot of work into that, and they continue to pour a lot of work into Calaveras County itself and the economic development of it. And Supervisor Mills is correct in the fact that it's right there front and center when you come into San Andreas on Main Street and on corner 49. Mother Lode Job Training is housed in there. Together a partnership. Supervisor Oliveira is correct on the economic development grant ending at the end of September. However, our new economic development director has partnered with the chamber, and they're all in tune, and the person that has that grant position at this time is in tune with Kathy and going over all the progress that they've made during that time. So I feel very comfortable what's happening right now and excited about what's happening with the chamber and the county as far as economic development. So those are my comments. And I want to I see a lot of board members here, which shows a lot. I want to thank all the board that is here, including the one that had to leave, for all of your efforts. Thank you. So now I will open it up for public comments. Al?
Well, I'd like to join the applause section for the chamber. They're just doing wonders, and I go to these breakfasts, and they have very interesting speakers at these breakfasts. If anybody wants to get up early, I really recommend they go. The food is delicious. But when we talk about money and responsibility of Board of Supervisors, you're talking about taxpayer money, and so it goes beyond what feels good, and actually you have to look at the bottom numbers. It would seem to make sense that bringing state money into the county is not exactly the same thing as economic development. Economic development, in my opinion, is the growing of businesses, and businesses come into this county, spending private money, and hiring people, and growing our economy. That, to me, that's more economic development rather than money coming to the county on grants. So I think that two things should be identified. Should identify how much money we're talking about. We understand it's $1 a year lease. Well, what would it lease out for if it was leased out to the private sector where you would receive fair market value? And you should know that number. And also the amount of time and money that the chambers put into this. This is a real thing. That should be quantified as well, so we have a clear financial picture. Also, it would be good to review this annually for performance. Just how many businesses were attracted to this county? How many businesses maybe avoided going under because of their efforts? So you should have some sort of report showing the track record of what's really happening. This goes beyond feeling good. It's accountability and results for the money being invested. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Good morning. I'm Lori Giannini, the CEO of the Calaveras County Fairground, the 39th District Agricultural Association, and I just want to thank you for supporting the Chamber. Our partnership with them over the last few years has been amazing, and rarely do you see an organization that almost didn't exist turn around and not only survive but thrive. And when you take the passion of the people involved and the support of the community, to me it's just classic Calaveras, when you can support an entity and do such a drastic turnaround in a short period of time. And they've done amazing work, and part of that work is because of the support that the Board of Supervisors has given the Chamber. And I go to a lot of their events, and you guys are there, and by being there, you're supporting not only the Chamber, but all the other businesses there that are benefiting. And it's not only attracting new business, but getting the businesses that already exist enthusiastic and wanting to do better. And they offer so many educational courses. And I think when you're in business, you're always learning. So thank you for supporting them, and they've just done an amazing job.
Any other public comments?
Good morning. My name is Howard White. I am an independent small business consultant, primarily based in Tuolumne County. Most of my work is done there. I have probably 100 business clients and nonprofits that I work with in Tuolumne County. And I have been working with Stacy and the CBRC as a place to bring some of this expertise into Calaveras County, because there are a few other groups that are really working to improve the business climate, small business climate within this county. My experience here has been amazing. They've been extremely helpful in providing not only location of the room for us to be able to have meetings and meet my clients there, but also in support of the entire organization with both the Small Business Administration. There are two groups within Small Business Administration, the Small Business Development Center, and with SCORE. And I work with both nonprofits and for-profit clients in Calaveras County. The work that we are doing is really just beginning, because there is so much more opportunity for small business growth and development in this county. In fact, really it feels like not much attention has been paid to really fostering the environment for small businesses, and it's just really begun in the last year. And I would strongly encourage the board to continue to support that and continue to grow the small business climate and the nonprofit climate within this community. I think that's it. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Nate McBride. I'm the director of the Delta College Small Business Development Center. My organization provides services to small businesses, consulting and training in a multi-county area, including Calaveras County. And so I'm one of the partners that's been involved with the Business Resource Center, the Chamber. And I would just echo some of the prior comments of the collaborative nature that has come to this center, and the Chamber has been at the center of that and helping facilitate that. And tip my hat to all the other organizations that have decided to work together instead of working in their own silos. And so I compliment that. In terms of looking forward, our organization is certainly committed to continue to try to leverage and provide as much service as we can in this county with our time and money that we have available. And so I'm confident that the work that has already been done will continue and grow, and we're committed to be a part of that. To the gentleman's question, it's a fair question about what the return on investment is. But from my limited understanding, sometimes the full value of economic development return on investment is a little hard to measure unless you really know the economics of how to do that. You can count jobs and businesses started and some of their revenue, but the ripple of dollars reinvested in communities is significant, as I understand it. And so there might be some, and I think the Chamber would be open to this, to report some of the activity that comes out of the work, the partners in that Business Resource Center. But I think the true impact can go just beyond one job, one business, some of those type of metrics. So I compliment Calaveras County. I compliment you for being a support and a partner to the Chamber. And again, continue our pledge our continued support. Thank you.
Good morning, Jamie Armstrong. I'm the Executive Director for the Amador County Chamber of Commerce. And I have to say, you guys have an amazing, I'm getting over a cold, so sorry for the voice, an amazing CEO for this chamber. I got to see your county building before she even got to move in, and then I've seen it after several times. And the work that the chamber put into it is unbelievable. I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know how she's gonna pull this off. There's a lot of TLC that needs to go in, and she was up for the challenge, and she's always up for the challenge. The fact that she took on the chamber after a huge disaster and rebuilt the chamber's reputation, and even then some, doing the projects that she does, the outreach that she does, the collaboration. Us in Amador County try and copy anything and everything she does. You guys are the leading chamber in this area. The partnership that she does with the Tri-County Chamber golf tournament is huge. We all know that tourists don't see county lines. They don't stop at McCallum Hill because it's Calaveras and they only want to visit Amador. So learning to kind of collaborate among all the counties and have us share together and put our efforts together is huge. So your continued effort into the chamber and allowing them to not spend money on rent, but on the services that they provide to their businesses and their partners is extremely valuable. And economic development goes further than just bringing new businesses in. A lot of it is actually making sure that you have a healthy climate now. We went to an economic development conference in October, and one of the questions they asked is, if you had a new business, go to your Main Street and ask all the businesses on Main Street what the business climate is, what would they say? And Stacy's working on the businesses you have in the county to make sure that the future businesses will get the best experience possible. So thank you for your continued support.
Any other public comments? Seeing none. Tim, there was a question I think Al had about monetary, and maybe Stacy can put some words into how much money and elbow grease and time was put in to renovate this building. That would have been very difficult to lease out prior to them putting their efforts into it. So.
And I can tell you an easy estimate on hours, blood, sweat, tears, and yes, there was some blood involved, would be in the well over 100 plus hours of just sweat equity. The Chamber's invested several $1,000s in ADA improvements to the building. And I can just tell you, if I can, Ms. Diane, can we hand these to you? And then for the members of the public, I also have information that talks about the services provided at the Business Resource Center and the things that have happened, the business outreach that has taken place between myself and between our business outreach specialist, Michelle Stevens. Please, please, please help yourself. Also, we, the Chamber, and I speak on behalf of myself and the board that is present, we are extremely grateful and thankful for the partnership, and I say it's a partnership between the county and the Chamber. Even though we are not a county organization, we represent ourselves as such, and I do so proudly. When I am talking, when I'm at conferences, when I'm meeting with people, I'm very proud to say that I am the Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce. So it is in my best interest, and my commitment to you is to make sure that this Business Resource Center thrives. This is not created for me. This was not created for my 13 board members. It was created for the individuals sitting behind me and those that can see this telecast. This is a Calaveras County entity that businesses, entrepreneurs can come and take part in. We want to help grow you, sustain you, and move you to the next level. So the resources and services that we provide, they are for all of Calaveras County. So again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for the opportunity. If you do so, support this lease. And you all know me. I am very open door policy, and I welcome you at any time to come and check us out, see what's happening. And we're very proud of the work that's happened. And it's not just because of us, it's because of the partnerships that we have developed. So thank you.
Okay. I got to say, and sitting here and looking to my right, that Mr. Luster, who's been involved in the chamber for many, many years, along with Al, sitting back there, Davis, and the comment Lori made about at one time the chamber basically was on its knees and very close to relinquishing its continuous being in existence for well over 100 years. At one point, Mr. Luster and I, if you remember, with our hats in our hands, wringing them out, were in the CAO's office asking for some help. But you guys have really turned it around. And it's really a productive organization right now. And that's to the whole board and to you, Stacy. So,
Thank you.
And Nikki. Thank you. So, yes, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, just a thought here, because I can remember also when the chamber was on its knees, that it isn't just the volunteers, but the passion of your board members have made the organization the face of business in the community. And I also, with that, say it brings a sense of stability to the community as a whole. So offering the solutions, and I've been a participant in some of those solutions, I know the business community really does want to be a vital part, and you're just giving them that method or that way to get it done. And so to all of those that are on that board, thank you for your effort, because it Stacy, you're the voice and you're the face, but it's everybody else that's standing behind you that helps drive it forward and make it work the way it does. So thank you to all of you.
All right, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
You can have it.
I'm sorry, you already have a motion and a second.
Oh, we do have a motion in a second. Okay, I'm calling for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0 with one abstention.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to take a 15-minute break before we get into the regular agenda.
Doing my best.
Can you close the door? Oh, close it. Yeah, close the door. Thank you. All right.
Item 21 is from the Administrative Office to receive a report from staff, Cal OES, and local organizations regarding the ongoing Butte Fire recovery.
Mr. Moss.
Good morning. Brian Moss, Administrative Office. This is your monthly report on the Butte Fire, and as you know, we're continuing to make progress in that arena. I know that Mel will go ahead and update you a little bit more on the insurance recovery, but my understanding is from correspondence I just received the other day, getting very close on the ash removal, insurance recovery aspect, and then moving into the burned tree insurance recovery. There will be an item coming before the board at your next meeting, just extending not the term, but the amount of funds for that activity should it be necessary. I don't absolutely see that being necessary, but just in case, it'll cover that burned tree aspect as well. So thank you.
Jeff Krivitz, Public Works. A brief report on the status of the insurance recovery for the tree removal from Butte Fire. 159 total properties were involved, private properties. To date, we have cleared 113. No further responsibility on those properties. The remaining 46 are properties that have been identified with insurance that may be eligible, and so we are preparing letters to send out to those property owners and asking for documentation of their insurance amounts or repayment of what they have, proceeds that they have received from their companies. Any questions? Thank you.
Mel Knight, Community Liaison, Butte Fire. Just going to very briefly update you on the debris aspect from Brian referred to it as the ash, but the structural debris. And as I've mentioned in the past, we're in the process of closure. We're making the transition now. The same team is working on the tree process, and that's one reason why I think we've had a very smooth transition and a lot of efficiency has occurred there. We've finished all outreach. We're expecting to actually be providing state closure activities in the next few weeks. There's a few checks still trickling in. We're at about $6.5 million in collected dollars. And we will be, as I mentioned, transitioning where we'll be collecting dollars as long as we have tree activity for those that come in one by one. There's a few of the insurance companies have been very slow to pay, and so we received, for instance, 2 checks yesterday. We're expecting a few, and we can pretty efficiently do it by having it as part of the tree program. And that'll continue, expected to go probably through June.
Alan, excuse me, no, I'm sorry. The tree program, we're talking about the duplication of benefits checks.
Yes.
And so you want to tie it in with the tree program? Which tree program?
Okay.
There's several that we've got.
Yeah, I should have been clear. This is the right-of-way tree program. So those property owners that had government assistance for removing trees from their property, if they did receive insurance benefit for that, they're obligated to repay and remit that, and that will go to the state and federal government, just like it did for the structural debris program. Many of those people were the same people who we had dealt with on structure, So Jeremy and the Tetra Tech team already had a lot of information there. That was very helpful. They also knew the adjusters from almost all the companies. So it has been very efficient the way that this has been moving to closure. It should move very cleanly there. Trees are a little more complicated. I mentioned that earlier because you may get funds for trees. You had some of your trees in right-of-way, and some of your trees were not in right-of-way. And if you received $5,000, $8,000, how much of it was for the right-of-way trees versus the other trees you took care of? So it's one that we're making a point on the letters to the public to make sure they are aware that if they had any out-of-pocket expense related to trees other than right-of-way trees, those may be eligible for a credit against what would go to the right-of-way program.
Do we figure out where the money, where our lists are going into the black hole of the state?
Actually, we're going to, Rebecca Callan will be dealing with the specifics on that. In fact, when I last spoke with her, she was going to be trying to sort out, I believe, whether or not we'd be able to actually retain the county funds that were expected as reimbursements rather than just remitting the $6.5 million and then trying to get the county's funding paid. That was one of the discussions, I believe, but she would be in a better position to discuss that if that's possible. It's a little complicated because actually in this instance, because Cal Recycle stepped in between FEMA and OES, they were actually the recipient of the service. So we will, as I understand it, probably be providing the funding to Cal Recycle, who has an obligation to provide the funding to FEMA and OES. But it gets a little more complicated than that. Fortunately, we don't have to probably deal with those
And the paperwork for those individuals, for the few that we were unable to resolve, those go, we're sending that into Cal Recycles or?
Yeah, what I'm anticipating doing is that we will be sending a spreadsheet that indicates the status of each of the 854 properties to both Cal Recycle and OES. So they will know whatever the disposition had been.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. Mr. Knight, thank you. Maybe you can answer this question, or maybe Mr. Lutz could. Our new OES director, Michelle, how are you? Thank you for coming. Will she have any involvement in the Butte fire recovery, or is that being handled by prior assigned personnel?
Yes, indeed. In fact, we had a conference call just yesterday with the Tetra Tech team. She was a party to the call. We're bringing her in as much as we can bring her in to bring her up to speed on these. Very valuable resource here, and should be the person that will be the point person for the continuity of these activities, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other board comments?
Will we hear from Michelle?
Good morning, Michelle Patterson, OES Director for Calaveras County.
Welcome aboard, Michelle.
Thank you.
You get to now get the same questions that I've been putting up for the last 14 months. And I know you and I have discussed it, and I really appreciate you taking the time to bring up to speed and in many ways taking the ball and helping us figure out how we're going to get this thing across the goal line.
Yeah.
Finish up, particularly around my concerns continue to revolve a lot around the white sea trees and the green sea trees. And I wondered if you could bring us up to date on how we're doing on getting that done. As you are well aware, I am extraordinarily concerned about public safety and these trees falling in the right of way and hurting people. And I wanted to know where we are in that process.
You know, I right now am not fully up to speed on the green trees versus the white trees. I've been spending the past few weeks focused really heavily on the winter storm and ensuring that I am pushing the winter storm paperwork with Cal OES and FEMA through so that we can get that resolved. Just yesterday I started working on the Butte Fire resolution. There was a few pieces of paperwork that needed to go get followed up on, and so I've been following up on those the past 2 days to make sure that we can get the extensions for some of the funding that's available for those. And And the burnt tree removal program, we're working to work with perhaps TSS to get those trees down.
Because my concern continues to be, there's always a new disaster coming.
Yes.
And we have not finished wrapping up the first disaster, Butte Fire. And as we move on to the next new shiny thing, it gets staler and staler and more dangerous.
Right.
So I don't want to, I'll ask about the roads next. Do you want to say anything about the trees, Tim?
Yeah, to Michelle's point, I mean, she has been coming on up to speed for the last 3 weeks. We actually have been talking to TSS, who's doing obviously the tree mortality program for us. We sat down and had a meeting with Tad with TSS to set up a contract to deal with the BLM trees that we had already identified. And then subsequent to that, we were looking also at some of those green trees, white trees. I think where we'll get to the point on for that, we have put in requests for reversion on some of those. They haven't been quick, I would say. I know Public Works put it in quite some time ago. At first, I thought it was us on that request, but what we found, even the auditor, a couple things that the auditor had submitted over to Calaveras got lost. A lot of this stuff got submitted right when you had a couple things going on. FEMA was scaling down, and you also had the fires in the North Bay. What our experience has been, a few things got lost at Calaveras. We've gotten those now back on track. But I do think at some point we want to look at if we're still waiting for that approval, we either proceed with moving forward, not expecting reimbursement from FEMA on this, just to get these trees down and taken care of. If we take that approach, obviously it's going to cost us less because we don't have as many requirements on bringing those trees down. If you're having to meet the cultural, you're having to meet just all the extra overhead that goes on top of bringing a tree down for FEMA funds. But that does mean the risk of it being county general fund and an unreimbursed expense. And I think that's a decision that the board's going to have to weigh in on, and I think it's an important decision because we do need to get to the point of either deciding, the general fund will bear this risk or not. The third option is really doing the trees, taking them down with the expectation of FEMA reimbursement, which will be a higher initial cost to the general fund, but we still would have a better chance at getting reimbursed on those.
Well, I think that, we do have to take a look at the risks. And 2 years ago, we identified these as threats to public health and safety. We have literally put our initials on these trees so that we own them. So if a tree falls and hurts somebody, we are not going to have any excuse as to we didn't know. We are going to own this, and costs will be extraordinary if somebody gets injured. So I hope we'll take that into account. It'd be great to get reimbursed, but as I'm sure General Counsel loves this conversation, but it is a real liability for us. I have other questions about Quincy, but we can finish this piece first.
Well, I think when that conversation comes to the board and presented to the board, we need to know the costs, the cost differences, exactly what we need to do with your response of between what we need to do for FEMA and what we need to do if FEMA's not involved in it, along with the cost difference. And if you can get that to us as soon as possible for that discussion.
Thank you. I also have a question. I'd like to know how things are progressing with Quincy Engineering and getting our roads done.
I actually am going to ask Jeff to comment on that, if he would.
Jeff Krovitz, Public Works. CEO Lutz, do you want to do this or you want me to do this? Okay. We have a signed contract with Quincy. I believe that was executed late last week, and we are awaiting the task orders that we had requested Quincy provide to us for the highest priority portions of both disasters. The top of the list, of course, that's the roads.
So Quincy's now got the task orders. When can we expect to see something? We need to break ground. Our final extension expires in September, so we got to break ground.
Correct.
I sound like a broken record, I know. So what's our timeline when we start seeing this task orders, when we're going to start seeing work going?
The setup is that as soon as the task order arrives, we review the task order, and if we agree with the work and the cost, it can be signed by the CAO.
And when will Quincy provide that?
I'm expecting it this week.
Okay, great. Will you let me know when it comes in?
Okay.
Thank you.
Supervisor Mills.
Yeah, I think we need to at some point decide as a board and establish some type of a timeline to close these emergency declarations. We have so many of them sitting there and we just keep running them on and running them on. And if the board says, look, we need to go through the options and look at the reimbursement recovery risk and say this is something we can tolerate, if we can speed it up and get this one closed, because like you say, Supervisor Garamendi, there's another one down the pike somewhere. It's just waiting for us. So if we just buckle down and say we're willing to accept the risk financially to get this one out of our hair, and then we can deal with the FEMA side and what recovery we can get later. We know we'll get something. It's just a matter of we're going to have to front the cost in some of these options. So if we're willing to front the cost, then let's get it back in front of the board. Let's get those decisions made and finally come down with a timeline so everybody knows what the end goal that we're working to and what that looks like. But right now, it's just everybody's kind of pushing and pushing and pushing in their own little ways. And that's not that they're not doing a good job at it. It's just nobody's on the same track. So let's get on the same track and get that as an agenda item.
Either way, no matter how we go, we're going to front the money. We'll be paying for it up front, so.
It can be part of our budget discussion for next year. I mean, as we start to delve into that.
It must be, and I believe we were talking about hearing something about this on April 10th. You're going to bring this back to us? Okay, thank you.
Any public comments on these items? Seeing none, close public comments. This was informational. I want to thank staff for the presentation. We'll move on to item number 22. Madam Clerk.
Item 22 is from the Agricultural Department to receive the UCCE Farm Advisor Wine Grape presentation related to wine grape production and recognizing annual Foothill Wine Grape Day.
Kevin Wright, Agricultural Commissioner. It was my pleasure to put this item on the agenda today. As you probably know, Lynn Wunderlich is the UC Cooperative Extension agent who specializes in grapes for our county. And as such, her main thrust of her business is to get the information and the scientific expertise from UC Davis and disseminate that to our grape growers, and then hear back from them to take back to the UC as to what they can do as far as their investigations. So she takes things that are complicated and brings them out to the grower as an extension agent, simplifies them so the grower can develop the best ways of growing his grapes. But she does much more than that besides that, and that's why she is such a good person to have in the county. She promotes the industry, and she works with the ag department too as far as health and safety issues, and she has a lot of energy and a lot of expertise, and I'll let her take it on from there.
Did she bring you back samples? Or?
I work mostly with the wine grape growers, producers, and not as much with the wineries themselves.
Yeah.
So good morning. Thank you, Chair Toffanelli, District Supervisors, CAO Lutz, and County Council and Clerk. Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce myself, Lynn Wunderlich, as your University of California Cooperative Extension Farm Advisor serving Calaveras County growers. I have served as UC Cooperative Extension Farm Advisor in El Dorado and Amador counties since 2000. And at that time, you had Ken Churches here as your farm advisor. UCC went through some hard budget times. We're on the rebound now. But in 2011, a multi-county partnership was formed to keep cooperative extension alive in the foothills. And so currently, I serve El Dorado, Amador, Calaveras, and Tuolumne counties. And my office is based in the Placerville office, although I am available and make farm calls out here to Calaveras growers and invite them to all of my events. So I do want to invite you to Foothill Grape Day. It's March 29th, but before I do that and talk a little bit about that, I want to give you a very brief presentation on my program, just to tell you a little bit more about what I do. I'm fairly certain you know Cooperative Extension for 4-H, our volunteer program, our youth development program. Maybe you've heard of Master Gardeners, Master Food Preservers, but many people don't understand that we also have a cadre of advisors such as myself who are both researchers and outreachers, extending information from the university and as well as doing research ourselves. So my program purpose is, as I said, to conduct and deliver relevant information. So I'm here to serve local county needs specifically. And it's on a range of issues. My background's in pest management, but I also have research projects in irrigation. Obviously, groundwater is extremely important for our growers in the foothills. Economics and sustainability, and I specialize in spray technology and pesticide safety. I'm available to diagnose problems, so if a grower is like, I want to talk to you about something that's going on in my vineyard, they have me to call without charge. I'm an unbiased resource, so unlike a private consultant, I'm not advocating a particular product or service. I'm here to give a sort of a straight heads up. This is the pros and cons of any issue. I extend my outreach broadly. I have a blog. I have that's replaced my newsletter. I maintain a website, and I do the annual Foothill Grape Day, as well as, I said, face-to-face farm calls. And I'm also a public servant, so as farm advisors, we're required to volunteer. So I'm a National Weather Service volunteer, daily observer. I do work as I sit on the board of several committees, including the Western Agricultural Health and Safety Education Committee.
Excuse me,
Sure.
Ms. Wunderlich. And I know we're talking about wine grapes now, but when you're comment about diagnosed problems, you're not limited to wine grapes.
It's not.
Almonds, walnuts.
Yeah, we don't have
orchards.
almonds up here generally because it's too cold. Almonds are like the first to bloom. So no, I am basically perennial crop advisor.
Okay. All right.
And I only say wine grapes because that is the largest commercial production. I'm not a livestock person, so there are limits. We're actually getting a livestock advisor. We will be hiring one soon to serve the 4 counties. So I'm limited to wine grapes, which is about 1,000 acres in Calaveras County, and other perennial crops: Christmas trees, tree fruit, olives for oil.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
What is the relationship structurally with like Scott Oneto?
Scott Oneto is my my county director.
Okay.
And
so he works for you?
He works for me.
With you?
Yes, he works with me. Yes.
Okay.
He's technically my boss, although I've been an advisor longer than he has. So yeah, but he's one of my bosses.
Thank
yeah.
you. Does he know that?
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Brian.
Yeah. But so one of the problems that we're working on currently is a new virus affecting wine grapes. It's called red blotch virus because it causes red blotches on the leaves of grapes. So grapes actually have over 50 viruses that we know of that attack them, and this is our newest threat. It is prevalent in the foothills. In fact, I did 2 farm calls last month for Calaveras growers One was for someone who was recovering from the fire and wanted to know about the feasibility of installing a vineyard. And the second one was meeting with someone whose grapes did not sugar up. They were to be sold to a winemaker who's got a prestigious winery in Murphy's, and the winemaker suggested that this grower contact me. And my suspicion is that they're suffering from red blotch virus. So currently we're doing research on this virus, how it moves around, the epidemiology of this virus. I don't know if you've looked at wine grapes, but that light colored fruit, those bunches that are lighter in color, some of those berries, they're supposed to be very dark in color. So this virus affects color, but it also affects bricks accumulation. So quality, it's a devastating disease, and one that's right on the radar of wine grape growers throughout the state.
So that is,
I don't have a pointer.
so that's not just the dust that's been rubbed off the grape, that's a real different colored grape.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Interesting.
Those are, thank you. So these berries right here are obviously lighter in color. And this photo was taken October 24th. This is late. Okay.
That's very late.
You know, so these grapes should be dark and ripe. This is, see, there's Zinfandel or Cabernet Sauvignon. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Looks like Zinfandel. So, yeah, this is a devastating disease, and I've measured between a 4 and 8% decrease in bricks in a trial I have in Amador County in Zinfandel. This is a dry farmed block, so anytime you put extra stress on grapes by not having sufficient water, you see an increase in the effect. So this is one example of a project we're currently working on. Also, I do these field days. I love to do field days, and growers really like them as well. So one of the issues facing foothill growers throughout the state, indeed, is the shortage of skilled labor and labor to do routine tasks such as harvesting. So while we never thought we would see mechanical harvesting coming to the foothills, there are several mechanical harvesters being purchased in the Shenandoah Valley in Amador County. And we had a field day where we talked about these harvesters, how they worked on slopes, you know, what the issues were. And this is our fairly recent specialist here, Con Kurteral. He came to us from CSU Fresno, and he is currently our Davis Viticultural Specialist. So as advisors, we're connected to cooperative extension specialists on all of the campuses. So I had Con come out and demonstrate how to convert head-trained vines to bilateral cordon training, which would make those vines mechanical harvestable. Okay, so, and we've also been invited to participate annually in the Calaveras Wine Alliance Ag Tour. So they've done this tour for many years, and it takes place as both sort of a public relations for Calaveras wine growing, but what Cooperative Extension adds to the tour is an educational component for the attendees. So this is my colleague Glenn McGordy. He's a viticulture advisor in Mendocino Lake County. He was invited as a guest speaker. This is Stephen Collum, prominent vineyard consultant in the region, and our tour takes us from vineyard to vineyard, and we discuss the problems that we see on the tour and solutions for those problems. And also this is last year's tour, we had Carrie Arnold here. She's just finished up some work on the importance of certified virus-free planting stock to avoid those types of virus diseases like red blotch virus. So that's part of our message that we're trying to get out to growers who are installing new vineyards. As Kevin said, last year we were able to collaborate in a pesticide safety training, which I wasn't able to be there that day, but I was able to arrange for Teresa Andrews from our Western Center for Ag Health and Safety to come to Calaveras County and deliver a pesticide safety training in Spanish. And I think it went pretty well. And you know, so that's the type of thing that we like to team up on, bring some resources here. There's an increasing number of regulations affecting growers, and Training is certainly a part of that. Annual training for their workers is certainly part of that. So, and then I wanted to just mention a grant that I just received. I spearheaded it, so I am principal investigator of a spray application pest management alliance grant. And we've received about $218,000 from the Department of Pesticide Regulation, which is the regulatory branch of government that oversees our county agricultural commissioners and the regulation of pesticide use. They have an annual call for these pest management alliance grants. Typically, they're crop focused and on pest management strategies for a specific crop. This past year was a little bit different. So what they did was they put out a call that is relevant to a new regulation that growers are having to deal with this year called the Pesticide Use Near School Regulation. And this regulation does limit, it's in effect now, pesticide applications within a quarter mile from school from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So there's no applications allowed by air or air blast sprayer within a quarter mile of school, and the schools need to be notified of the pesticide use. So this grant is one that will not only benefit pesticide applicators and growers, but also our school children, our public communities, our school communities, and anyone who works, lives, or plays near schools. And our goal is to reduce the incidence of pesticide illness in school communities by training pesticide applicators in the proper use of their spray application equipment. So we're going to be delivering this in Northern California. It's an alliance grant, which means we have both industry folks, private folks like adaptive, spray safe groups, different agricultural commissioners are actually on our management team, and it's a Northern California grant, but we will certainly be doing training in the foothills. And finally, this is my last slide. I just wanted to invite you to my annual Foothill Grape Day. This year it's March 29th, and the focus of the Grape Day this year is vine balance, which is sort of adjusting crop load that's appropriate for your site and your site conditions. One thing I've learned in the years that I've been advisor here is that there are many different site capacities in the foothills, so it's definitely not one size fits all here. You really, if you're going to grow grapes successfully, you really have to evaluate your resources, your soils, your water availability, your soil water holding capacity, your climate. All these different things go into vine balance to create premium grapes. And I'm very proud to have a lineup this year that includes my colleagues from around the state. So Mark Batney from San Luis Obispo County, Lara Betica, Monterey County Farm Advisor, Viticulture Advisor, Rhonda Smith coming from Sonoma County, Con Curterall, Glenn McGordy, and then we have a local grower giving their perspective. So if you'd like to join us, please let me or my assistant Robin Cleveland know, and be happy to host you. And that's all I have. So do you have any questions?
Supervisor Mills, you'd like to?
Yes, Ms. Wunderlich, you had said something about pesticide safety training here. Do you recall, or does anybody have any numbers on how many workers attended?
We had, how many workers attended? Like 10? Do we have 10?
There's about a dozen.
And they have to do this yearly as part of?
Yes, this was for workers who couldn't speak English. They were bilingual, or Spanish speakers.
Okay.
And whether you speak English or Spanish doesn't matter. You still have to be trained annually.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a certification they receive for that? In case somebody comes out in the field and say, have you been trained?
Yes.
So
That's what
they
we do.
show.
Actually,
So that's what, yeah.
That's his job.
My staff goes out in the field and ascertains whether they've been trained or not. We do that by asking them.
Do they have a lanyard that they have to wear? No. Okay.
No, but the grower has to keep training records. So the grower or the employer would have those records on who was trained when, what the day of training, what the training covered. It's fairly extensive.
Any other questions?
We do headquarters inspections of the growers, and they have to have those papers available for us to inspect as part of our checkout list.
He's a regulator, I'm an educator, so we kind of, good cop, bad cop. I don't know. Yeah, bad cop, okay. Not too bad.
Well, I would like I would like to sincerely thank you for your work. UC Cooperative Extension has been an economic driver in this county and the state for over 150 years almost now, since the founding of the University of California. And I've met many industries that have worked hand in hand and grown the state through the combined effort of yourself and all those that came before. Thank you, and thank you for working in the county.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Any other board comments? Public comments, questions? No? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll take a 5-minute break for back. Madam Clerk?
Item 23 is from the Administrative Office to receive a report on Project X, the plan for the beautification of the Government Center campus.
Mr. Martin, you're up.
I am looking. All right. Good morning, Board. Patrick Martin, Facilities. Before I get Project X started, I wanted to give a little background. The last time I was here, I was able to accept a grant from the Calaveras Community Foundation for $10,000. I looked at that as an opportunity to get a little momentum. $10,000 will go a long way for beautification, but the campus has been put on the back burner for many years, and I want to see a lot of things done. So Project X is a culmination of conversations with staff, public, some wild ideas of my own. So today I'm just presenting a lot of ideas for consideration. Some of them I already have the ability to pull off, and some of them are just for possible future action. So in order to, the first part of Project X is the campus colors. So in August of 1966, the campus was dedicated with the current Band-Aid pink that I call, that we have currently on our buildings. We have gotten our money's worth. It has never been painted since 1966. Doing a little bit of research on psychology of colors and doing some paint samples out back. I think we've come up with a very good combination that not only looks good for the campus with the brick and the environment around us, but is also considered very good colors for our type of a campus. So dealing with public and different departments interacting with the community, the colors that we have picked are very neutral and calming, and we can always use some calm. So in order for you to get a little bit of an idea, I did solicit one of my old employees who is a very accomplished artist and did a oil on canvas. So you can kind of get an idea of what the future look will be. The colors are slightly off of what the actual colors are. We do have some dark that goes in and picks up the brick real well. The body color would be a sage ascent. So the combination together, we have brick, stucco, and wood. So they all take the colors a little bit differently. So we played around with them, and I think we came up with a real good combination. So,
Who helped you out, Patrick, in the colors?
excuse me?
Who helped you out in the colors?
Let's see, I've gotten a lot of input from.
Your mission or forward.
Kevin Brady is the artist with Mosquito Gulch Studios.
Patrick, could we get you to move the microphone so that it's right in front of you so we can hear you better?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And to your point on who's had input into the colors, poor Patrick is tired of hearing everyone's opinion because we kind of open the floodgates of tell us what colors look good, what makes the most sense, because obviously we don't paint very often, so we want it to be, we want it to work.
Yes, absolutely. So, all right. So we'll get underway with Project X. So Project X, before I get started, I would like to do my disclaimers. So Project X has many components. Some of the ideas presented today may be viewed as grandiose or controversial, but it's strictly a presentation for consideration. As I mentioned before, some of the items are within my realm and my ability to pull off immediately. Some of the stuff you're already seeing as the precursors to the overall project. This is an interesting slide. In digging through the old campus blueprints, this is the original plan set from the area out front. And if you will notice that at the time it was called the Plaza. So Project X is basically trying to capture that concept of a plaza. So as we look at the definition, a plaza is a square in a town or a city, an open area usually located near urban buildings, and features walkways, trees, shrubs, places to sit, and sometimes shops. So today, Project X gets an identity, and that is the plaza at San Andreas. So, what is the objective? Obviously beautification, first and foremost, but what I wanted to do is kind of capture the imagination. We've got a lot of community organizations, a lot of people that would love to be involved on the ground level of things like this. So, the objective of the project is to foster civic and community pride, utilizing art, beauty, and community involvement as our foundation for success. So what does that mean? Really, it's the project will be open for public and public involvement. So want to give them the opportunity to be involved through a series of workshops. We're going to be doing water features, dry riverbed installations, elevated planter boxes, all things that people may have interest in. Community organizations that I've been talking to, the Master Gardeners, the Garden Club, all expressed interest in that type of a outreach program, so people can come down and see what's going on. There's basically four focal objectives of the project. The first is the history aspect. So we all know of our notable characters from Calaveras. But in digging, I found a few other very interesting facts that I did not know, but maybe others do. So the remains of the original county hospital was called the Gold Hill House, and those remains can be found right out back by Building J. Additionally, there is a pauper cemetery here on campus that's in the northwest corner. Calaveras, Spanish word meaning skull, was first given to the river because of the great quantities of human skulls found along the lower reaches of the river. Now, I didn't find out why we had so many skulls, but it's interesting of the term Calaveras and how it came. Now, the county itself took up a great deal more real estate back in the mid-1800s and was reduced in size to create Amador, Fresno, Mono, and Alpine counties. So a lot of rich history within our community. So keeping with the county pride, there are organizations out there, the E. Clampus Vitus, the Sons of the Golden West. They specialize in putting up historical markers all around California. I'd like to reach out and see if some of these historical events, times, would interest them in putting up monuments around campus. People can read about our history and get a little more involved. Out in front of, out front here, there's a mosaic over the front of the entryway. I cannot find it for the life of me what the story is, and I will have that for you by time I make subsequent reports on progress. I've reached out to the archivist, a number of people who have history in the county. Obviously, the mosaic speaks a story, but I don't know what that story is to present to you. So the history is there, and I would love to capture it and put it forward for everybody else to enjoy. On to the honor and recognition part of the project. We have a war memorial out front. Located opposite that, I have reserved this area for a first responders memorial. These are true heroes. We are very fortunate in Calaveras County that we have not lost a number of our responders in the line of duty. However, a memorial to show our appreciation, a poem, there are verses. I've seen a number of first responder memorials out there. So this idea I've turned over to the Sheriff's Department, and in conjunction with our local fire agencies, I'm sure they're going to come up with something very unique and very fitting for that memorial. Victims of violent crime. Barbara Uke, District Attorney, on a yearly basis, she has a ceremony for the victims of violent crime. I thought it fitting with all of the work we're doing outside to give her something permanent, something representative of her cause. What it looks like and exactly where it's going to be located will be up to Barbara and her team, but I'm sure it will look fantastic and it will be very fitting. I'd also propose a wall of fame, if you will. We have so many people in Calaveras that have made profound contributions to our community. Over the years, we will have many more in the future. Occasionally, we will name a street after them or do something else to recognize them, but this area out front where we've removed all of the bamboo, I think would be a perfect place to put such a wall of fame. The inductees would be subjected to a criteria similar to any other Hall of Fame. So, the Butte Fire Memorial. So out on the east end of the front courtyard, there's a aggregate wall out there. I found that this, I think that this would be a good place to put a Butte Fire Memorial atop the aggregate wall, a bronze plaque, remembering the date and commemorating the heroic efforts of the responders, volunteers, and an entire community. Understanding that this is a very painful memory, but not one that needs to be remembered in a painful way, in a positive manner, and remember the community banding together and all that was accomplished and the good that did come out of it. Not forgetting the board. Many counties that I've been through have a plaque in the board area that commemorates those who have served. I was surprised coming to Calaveras as an employee and a citizen that there is none here. So I would suggest that we look at a formal plaque in the board foyer that lets us know who the members of the board for any given term were, and we can see how their position has influenced and appreciate their service. A little fun for us coming to Calaveras County. I was surprised not to find a Calaveras County frog out there. Talking around, Mr. Mills assisted me in that cause, and thanks to the generosity of Furman Brown of Angels Camp, he has agreed to loan Prince Charming to us. Prince Charming will find a new home outside of the board foyer, stage right, and he will be there for as long as he is welcome. So, and if we kiss him the right way, maybe something good will come of it. So on to the beautification part. So most of these items that we're about to see are ones that we are working on, are in the works, and will be coming soon. So first impressions, I love the idea of a ranch gate. Again, Mosquito Gulch Studios has been kind enough to give me some artist renderings that will help you understand the ideas. So new ranch style gate, tree mortality wood that I have ordered and will be coming in soon. Not exactly representative, conceptually yes, but the gate itself will be much more substantial, made of 10 by 10s that will be glue lammed up and hand carved with chainsaws, measuring 25 feet in height and 51 feet in length. So it will be quite a nice entryway. And yes, the breezeway. This is right outside looking east from the gazebo. This whole area is going to be transformed into a private garden area with new plants, trees, and seating. But one of the most important aspects of this area will be the grand pergola. Made with tree mortality wood provided by Cal Fire, this structure will be made out of 10 by 10 beams, stone column bases, that will have natural stone that we've harvested locally, hand-hammered black iron hardware. It is going to be very nice and will be an asset that people can enjoy for decades to come. One of my hopes is that I can find a local rancher that has some of the slate fences that we see meandering the foothills throughout Calaveras, and I would like to find a rancher that would allow me to harvest about 50 feet of that, and we can use that native stone on the column bases. So, the feature art wall. This is something that we threw out there just to pique interest and get everybody excited about Project X, but the nice feature of this is 80% of everything that went into that is all campus repurposed and recycled materials. So very little cost, but a real big bang for our buck. So that part is not complete until we introduce the Infinity Falls below it. So this pondless water feature will have stone facing brass scuppers, drought-tolerant plants, and will just be a nice area to enjoy lunch or anything else. A time capsule. I thought, what a cool idea if in 1966, when this place was dedicated, that they had done a time capsule. It's never too late. We could look at putting a time capsule in, and the community and the board decide what would represent us as a community today and what time in the future that time capsule would be opened. South Lawn. The South Lawn, to me, is a very underutilized area. Grass is really not on the eco-friendly list these days with the amount of water it takes, the amount of manpower that it takes to keep it up. I'd like to go with a more eco-friendly south lawn, replacing a lot of the lawn with decomposed granite walkways, picnic tables, benches, and park lighting. To the left of that, we have two large pine trees that are affected by the tree mortality bug. They will have to come down in the very near future, so the area that they currently occupy, I would like to put in a dry creek bed that I'm calling the Lazy River. And the Lazy River will go down, and we will have footbridges and decomposed walkways leading to private areas for seating, for lunch, or anybody's pleasure. And that's what I envision the new South Lawn to look like. And for those who are concerned, there will be a permanent medallion placed for the launching pad for our Frog Jump annual event. So I'm looking for community involvement. I'm excited to open this thing up and let the public come in and get their hands dirty, or ask questions, or give advice or direction. So I've reached out to very few people at this point, not knowing what the direction of the board would be, but the few people I have, I've had a lot of interest. So I'd love to see those grow tremendously. So as people learn of the program or the project and see it coming to fruition, then call me. Come in. We'll see some way to publish days and events that will be going on. So the project, the Plaza project, the reason for the steel, stone, and timber is to represent the strength and longevity of this community. Something that we all know of, but sometimes we need to remember. So that's my story, gentlemen, and I'm sticking to it. Questions?
Any board questions?
Patrick, thank you very much. Thank you for your vision and your energy in trying to lift this place up. 50, almost 60 years of paint is a pretty good run.
Yes.
I assume that that's one of the first things we'll be taking on. How do you see this rolling out over time, and how should we as a board prepare to support you in this effort?
Well, currently we have already begun the process. Power washing started last week. As soon as this new rainstorm comes through, if the colors are met with approval, sometime within the next week to 10 days, paint will start out front and then proceed around campus. The various parts of the beautification process will again begin immediately. Some of the historical and monument type activities are things that you guys should just consider as upcoming possible activities that community involvement may push your way. There may be no cost impact to the county depending on fundraising abilities of myself or generosity of community organizations.
Thank you.
Supervisor Oliveira.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Patrick, once again, fine job. You're a man of many talents, it looks like, or knows how to get things done. $10,000 is a start for this project, I assume. And do you have a dollar number or a goal that we're looking at? And I know it's kind of hard to put a hard number on this, but what do you think?
You know, it really always would depend on the vision of others. So monuments could be from this to this. From my perspective on time capsules, things of that nature, the $10,000 I have covers all of my plants and such. Every dollar above that is going to be well allocated. So I wouldn't want to throw out an item of $50,000 would take care of soup to nuts everything, because it all depends on the vision of the sheriff's department, the DA, of the board. So I don't think it's going to be a deal buster at any level.
And once again, a very vague question. What's your timeline? 5 years? 3 years?
Oh, no. I would like the vast majority to be ready for public dedication before the Butte Fire Memorial of this year. So September is my mark. The South Lawn rehab obviously would not fall into that, but the vast majority of the components within the general area out front, I would like to have all ready for a ceremony prior to the Butte Fire Memorial this year.
Wow, that's right. Well, let's see if we can do that.
Yeah.
Supervisor Mills.
Yeah, I'm thinking, for instance, on your first responder idea, that if you reached out to the local fire districts and the medics on ambulances and all those, that they would just so enjoy the opportunity to put something together to represent their comrades who have served over the years. So everybody who can put their hands on it and have a piece in what it is, it will help to represent this county as a whole and how we are communities, and we can come together. So it means a lot that you started the vision. Now it's up to others to help you to see that through. Exactly. So I appreciate what you've done, and I also appreciate Mr. Brown and his wonderful donation.
Public comments. Let's see, we have a public member.
Al Segala, Taxpayer Association. I too are really grateful for what you're doing. This may be a little bit late, but in Copperopolis, we were able to fund a memorial in Flagpole by selling bricks, engraved bricks. You can buy brick for $100 and your name will be engraved on it. You got room for 1,000 bricks?
Excellent, an excellent point, and one of the aspects of the project are park benches that will be made out of tree mortality wood. One of my ideas was that community or private members could sponsor a bench with a bronze plaque in loving memory of, supported by, and those benches would be for sale for individuals to support the project and be remembered as a supporter. When I came up with this idea months ago, I unfortunately didn't realize that I was going to be the first purchaser of this bench. My father passed away last month, and he was very excited about the whole concept and idea of Project X. So the first bench will be dedicated to my father.
Thank you, Patrick. You may want to circulate that. Thank you for that gift honoring your father, and sorry about his passing. You might want to circulate that purchase list amongst your board members up here. We all have a lot of people, and I was very happy to hear Al volunteer to be our chief fundraiser on the brick project. Thank you, Al.
Yes.
And the Taxpayer Association for stepping up.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Mr. Lutz, is there any way that we could form a formal committee per se for this project to engage in some of this fundraising and things of that sort?
Absolutely. If the board would like, we can bring a item back to form an ad hoc committee if board members would like to serve on it, or whether it's a committee for community members. But absolutely, we can develop that. And I think a lot of that, there are some good points to get clarity on. Council and I were just going back and forth on talking about, rules established for dedicating or naming the benches, things like that, so that we have some consistency and make sure that everything is conforming to, requirements for a government organization.
Mr. Chair, could we poll the board for that to give some direction to admin?
Sure. Supervisor Garamendi, you got a comment first?
If I can, I agree with you. We have to follow the rules, but I'm always concerned about us forming committees that slow down somebody who's moving quickly, doing the right thing, and I'd hate to burden you with more bureaucracy than you have to deal with on a daily basis. So I would hope that we would all be advisory and let the man who's on the field quarterback it into the end zone.
If I could also add to that piece too, I think our goal was obviously anything that involves the aesthetics of the campus is a board, something that we want the board to weigh in on, which is why we were having this discussion. And I think Patrick has been moving at a good clip and trying to vet things as much as possible. But we definitely are committed to bringing this back to the board as each of these milestones are met to make sure that everybody's still on the same page, if that helps allay some concerns.
My biggest concern would be is when you start to develop an ad hoc committee that we would get in your way and might stifle some of the public engagement in this overall effort of community engagement. So if by bringing it back to the board means that we will have an opportunity to remove obstacles and barriers or get clarity quickly for you to move things along, I think that would be more critical to the ultimate result than for us to actually sit there on a committee with you and spin your wheels and waste your time.
I was more addressing the fundraising aspect of it. Do we need to have a formal committee to do that, or a formal organization? County Council, maybe you can answer that.
I need to research the extent to which government agency can engage in advertising and fundraising. There's definitely, I know that's not a fun answer for anybody, but I think I need to look at that first before I can provide any advice.
Maybe we can schedule it back for a meeting and discuss these issues.
We can do that.
Okay.
We can do that in April sometime. George, you have a comment?
Yes, sir. George Fry. Patrick, you're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. I love it. And I love it, the speed that you're going at. Don Cuneo was on this Board of Supervisors for 20 years, from 1966 to 1986. He lives out on Calaveras Road. The Cuneo family came here in 1848. And there's a book about the whole Cuneo family and Calaveras. So that may be something for you to look at and talk with Don. He's amazing. He was a tin can sailor in World War II in the South Pacific. I read about his ship. I just finished reading the book, The Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors. And it was really pretty incredible. I had written down bricks also. We've done it in veterans projects, over in veterans, the place in Sonora and down at Valley Springs. I have a suggestion that maybe Lowe's will give you the paint if you seek them out. They're pretty good about those kinds of things. We have in veterans things sought them out. So that'll save you a lot of money. I'm really excited. I mean, I can visualize this project, and it's great. I'm a big time history buff of not only of Calaveras County. When I first came here, I read everything I could get my hands on. And I also, and there's a book that was autographed for me, and it's When They Rushed In, and it's about the gold rush here. And there was something else I forgot to write it. Oh, I'm about to launch a project that will raise $150,000 for the Calaveras Unified School District. And in the project.
I think, are we talking public comment on this particular item? I'm just want to make sure we're on topic.
Stay on this item.
Oh, okay. I lost some time when you. Okay. I just wanted to let you know that that's a way of raising money, and you'll be seeing the launch of the project shortly. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll bring it back. Public comments, bring it back. Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate everything you've done. It looks tremendous. You and I have had some comments and conversations on this, not only this project, but the jail project that's going on too. And I want to thank you so much and look forward to your Project X and coming back to the board and giving us updates on progress. And we will agendize something in April, hopefully the first meeting in April, to bring us back and discuss it.
Very good. Thank you.
I was requested for a poll on a committee, but I don't think you're going to have support for that at this time, Supervisor Olivera. So why don't we wait till we bring it back for discussion in April, and see where we go from there.
Right, and I would agree, Mr. Chair. Let's find out legally what we do need, and we can go down that road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we take a brief 5-minute break to
Can we take a
allow?
5-minute break? Yes.
Thank you.
Lunch, Gary. We were going to go to lunch at noon because of the closed session.
All right, we're back. Madam Clerk.
Item 24 is from the Board of Supervisors for the appointment of applicants to serve on various committees, commissions, advisory boards, and county service areas. Before you today, we have 3 applications for consideration. The first is for the Commission on Aging, 1 vacancy for a term ending 12/31/2020 as a District 2 representative, Susan Tomasich, who has served as an incumbent. The next is for Copperopolis Cemetery District, 1 vacancy for a term ending 12/31/2021, Belva Bristol, who is an incumbent. And the next is for the Fish and Game Commission, 1 vacancy for an unexpired term ending 12/31/18 for a representative of District 4. We have an application from Elaine St. John, who is an incumbent.
Any board comments? Seeing none. Any public comments? Seeing none, bring it back to the board and we'll take a motion encompassing all of them.
I would move that item.
Okay. Have a motion by Supervisor Mills. Excuse me, Clapp.
It's close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Mills. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to the next item on the agenda.
Supervisor announcements. In compliance with AB 1234, chaptered as Government Code Section 53232.3D, board members shall provide brief reports on meetings they attended at the expense of the local agency at the next regular meeting of the legislative body. This report is required to include meetings attended for which there has been expense reimbursement, mileage, meals, lodging, etc., but may also, at the board member's discretion, include any other meeting attended by the supervisor on behalf of the county.
Let's start with Supervisor Garamendi.
Sure. Fortunately, I was sick most of last week, but I did have some really good meeting with Michelle Patterson, who I mentioned earlier, our new OES director. Good meetings with the library, IHHS Chairman Newman, as well as a good meeting with Simon Bigelow and Berry Hills staffer Dana Jorgensen, where we talked a little bit about community colleges in Amador and Calaveras County and where that may or may not be going. It was a good week, and I apologize. A large part of it was hacking up half a lung in bed. So, Mr. Chair, that's my report.
Supervisor Oliveira.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On March 5th, Monday, we attended the transient occupancy tax meeting with our board members and CAO Lutz and members of organizations without the community. We discussed somewhat of a steering committee and our next steps, what they would be. It was very productive. We've rescheduled another meeting, I believe in 2 weeks, Mr. Lutz? I attended the EPOC meeting, the Ebbets Pass Property Owners Committee meeting on March 7th. We were fortunate to have presentations by Mr. Jeff Krovitz and our new EEO director, Michelle Patterson. Information was given on our road repairs, schedules affecting the Highway 4 corridor in District 3. On the 8th, we also attended a town hall meeting addressing that same subject with the community. We were able to discuss once again those schedules for repairing, and we did discuss the Murphy's Drive bridge situation. That is going to be agendized, I believe, on the 27th for the board to hear that issue.
That it?
Give me a moment, sir. I attended the chamber breakfast also on the 7th. That's a 7:30 breakfast that Mrs. Segal attends, and we had Kathy Topol from Common Ground, make sure we say it correctly, make a presentation of what Common Ground does and the services they provide, the people they serve. Once again, another great organization in Calaveras County. I do support Common Ground. That's about it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Mills.
Yes, Tuesday the 27th, after our board meeting here, I was out until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night at Utica Water and Power, attending their meeting. Attended the Angels Camp Business Association meeting on Tuesday morning. That actually is starting to drive businesses from all over Calaveras County into Angels Camp for the purpose of just having a unified conversation on, and the ideas that come from it are fantastic, so I really do enjoy that. Of course, we had our COG meeting Wednesday night, and things went very well there. We had a small business meeting in Copperopolis and also in Angels Camp. SBA was put on by the chamber, and it was very interesting in attending both because each group had very different needs or challenges or goals or desires, whatever you want to call them. So they were thinking of the presentation, but they were coming away with some very complete different concepts of how they thought that would come about. I wanted to get to the one in Murphy's, but I didn't get a chance to do that. There's going to be coming up tomorrow the Eastern San Joaquin Rainwater Basin Authority meeting in Stockton, and then on Friday I will be in Mountain County's water meeting up in Auburn. So that's all I have on the calendar for now.
Supervisor Platt.
I attended the TOT meeting with Mike, and I also attended the Area 12, which is the first one we had this year, in Tuolumne. And had the CSA #1, we had a meeting the first of this month. And I attended the Homeowners Association in La Catena, and they'll probably be sending you a letter, and myself, because they're having problems with a turn pocket on Highway 26 there, where there was a fatality there about 3 months ago. And it's something that needs to be addressed and stuff. And so I believe that there'll be the CSA 1 plus the Homeowners Association in La Catena, both are going to be sending us something on that area.
Is that it?
That's it.
I attended numerous meetings that I wanted to talk a little bit about. Last night I did attend the Friends of the Library meeting, to which Nancy had brought up earlier about the fiber cable being brought to all the expanding libraries or the auxiliary libraries in the county. Very good meeting. And looking forward for that project to kick off really quick. According to her, it was going to be within the next couple weeks that will all start happening, and so I'm looking forward to that. Thank to all the members of the Friends of the Libraries, the different ones in the county, for stepping up to the plate and donating the money for that project to go forward. Attended the COG meeting, as Supervisor Mills had mentioned. I'm very excited about COG right now, and I think Caltrans is very buying into it and very excited with Calaveras COG right now, stepping up to the plate. In December, they had mentioned that they were going to commit $42 million in the next 3 years to Calaveras County. In addition to that, the new representative for Caltrans stepped up, and they're looking to increase that to $52 million with a $10 million contribution to the Wagon Trail project. So looking very forward to that. We discussed and had a presentation where we are on the transition of transit, public transit, to the new JPA, which is called Calaveras Transit. I want to make it clear that it's a separate JPA. COG, the only involvement in COG is that COG board will be representing that JPA. The members on the COG will step down from their COG duties and then go into the JPA when business needs to be done with a separate meeting for Calaveras Transit. The only thing COG has to do with it is the funding portion of it. And COG has control of funding not only for public transit, for all the road projects in the county. That's been set up by state and federal government to mandate it so the funds go where they're supposed to go. The COG portion of it is only to be the funding sources for it, and the JPA created as Calaveras Transit will be the JPA in control of public transportation. The transition will start from April 1st and go to June 31st, July 1st, that JPA will take over operations completely. So also want to bring up that this Thursday night, March 15th, in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce, Valley Springs ABA, will be putting on a mixer at the Umpqua Bank in Valley Springs. I will be attending that since I am a board member of the Valley Springs ABA. And that is for Candace's Cleaning is putting that on. So I will be there and hope to see everybody there at that time. There's that. That's all I have. Staff. Nothing to report? Nothing to report? Nothing to report? CAO?
I would add, as the item was brought up on the TOT ad hoc committee, and what the committee had recommended at this point was bringing on GFS, who we've worked with before, on our jail measure when we got the bonds to build the jail, to recommend negotiating with them on a consulting contract for the TOT initiative. I had an opportunity to speak with Lori last week to kind of talk about what we were looking at, with the then hopes of bringing this as soon as possible to the board for consideration of an agreement on on serving as a consultant and helping operate focus groups, do the research, some of the canvassing for a TOT initiative. So that will be coming to the board shortly.
That's it. We stand adjourned. We are in recess.